Hi BookTube! I'm back with another tag video this week. I just felt like doing some, so let's do it. This one is the Moody Book Tag by Slanted Spines is the original creator, so her video will be down below. Let's just get into it. 1. Do you consider yourself a mood reader? Yes and no. How do I... Oh, okay. I'm currently reading this book, the Malazan series, and I don't feel like reading the book I'm in right now, so I'm not reading it. So that's kind of like a mood thing, right? But I got other books on the go, and I'm going to explain that in the next question. So yes and no to the mood reader thing. Mostly no, but sometimes yes. Number 2, do you set TBR lists and do you stick to them? And this is where I'm going to explain how my TBR allows me to mood read, and how I read allows me to mood read within a structured TBR. So yes, I do set TBRs each month. I really enjoy doing that, and because if you've seen my TBR organization, you know that I have like, I think it worked out to about like almost 700 books on my unread TBR. That doesn't stress me out too bad. I just know that maybe I should stop buying books and I should start concentrating on reading my physical books, just to, you know, because I have them, so I should read them. So I'd like pulling out a selection, because otherwise looking at 700 books I kind of get that, what is it, choice paralysis. So if I pull them out and I know kind of what I want to read within a month, that gives me that structure, and but I select from such a wide variety, so I don't pull off like 10 fantasy books and then end up not feeling like reading like fantasy, not reading. I pull off from a variety of things. I pull off classics, I pull off some YA, I pull off, I know YA isn't a genre, but for me YA is like a mood. If I feel like reading YA, I pull off, you know, a mystery or a thriller or something. I pull off contemporary fiction, you know, I pull off a variety, so those are the things that if I feel I'm in the mood for, I can pick from that shorter pile. So if that makes sense. And then also I read multiple books at once. So I just do what I feel like reading. So that could mean I have like 11 books on the go at once because I didn't feel like reading, you know, 3 of the books, or I wanted to add something else to it, or I felt like reading that book but not having to finish another book before I picked that book up. So yes, see, that kind of explains the mood reading bit there, but I allow that within a structured TBR to be able to do that. I hope that makes sense. Number 3, do books affect you emotionally? Does the mood of a book rub off on you? Yes-ish. I wish I had a straightforward answer to any of these. Obviously, like, if reading a happy book will make me happy, or reading a sad book, it won't affect me for like a long period of time. Like, just, you know, after reading that book, you know, I'll sit with it, if it's a sad book, you know. Or I might even like go right on to something happier because I want to relieve myself of that feeling. I find that especially with like scary books or scary shows, you know, I want something a little lighter afterwards, like I'll watch a cartoon or I'll read something that I know is very comforting, very easy to watch. So I think the most a book will make me feel is angry, and that's a emotion I'll let sit with me if it's about injustice. So like, for example, right now I'm listening to Silver, Sword and Stone by Marie Arana, and that is a really interesting look at Latin American history. It's not just history, it's also talking a lot about contemporary stuff, and how the United States is still really interfering with so many things, and how Canada is really still interfering with things, and so that makes me angry, but that is a, you know, that good kind of angry against injustice. So yeah, that's an emotion that I'll let myself feel. That makes sense again. Number 4, when you're feeling sad, what do you read? I guess what I want. And I guess that's where the mood reading comes in. You know, if I'm feeling upset, then I'll just gravitate to whatever I want. It would probably most likely be like a science fiction, if I'm honest, or if I'm reading a Discworld. That will always cheer me up. Those books are amazing, and they're not just like pure humor. Like, don't go into, if you've never read Discworld, don't go into it expecting just pure humor. It's like wholesomeness wrapped up in like sarcasm. It's great. I love them. Okay, number 5. Most often, do you use reading to escape? I'm reading off my book, by the way. That's why I'm looking down. Most often, do you use reading to escape, learn, or critically reflect? Mostly. I like that term, mostly, because I like to try and do all those things. And if I can do all 3 of them at once, that would be good. But I think I read to learn. And I was one of those kids in school who thrived in like English class and loved learning about what we were reading and analyzing and stuff, and that made at the time and still makes a book so much more enjoyable to me, is to be able to analyze it and look at it critically and have it teach me something. So that applies like not just to nonfiction but also to fiction. And it could apply to all kinds, like even if it's just like a turn of phrase, you know, that taught me something. I'm like, oh, that's a really interesting way to pit that, right? You know, maybe I gotta try and use that in real life or use it in my own writing somehow. Or, you know, even just learning about people that way. You know, I'm introverted. I don't like a lot of people, but I like reading about people and learning about people that way. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Number 6, what is a book that made you laugh out loud most recently? And I said this, Discworld. I read Guards. Oh my god. I just, it's about dragons on a very superficial level. And there's little itty bitty dragons. I imagine they're probably about like that big, like lizards, basically, that breathe fire and fly. This dragon reworked their digestive system so that they could fart fire. Oh my god, I love that. Every time Ariel came up and I'm like, it's the farting dragon. This is amazing. I'm reading a book that I love and am taking seriously with some of the themes, and there's a farting dragon in it. Yeah. That was the last book that made me laugh out loud. Number 7, what is a book that has made you cry, or if you don't cry, one that really moved you? One of my favorite books of all time is Can You Hear the Nightbird Call by Anita Rao Badami. She's an Indian-Canadian author, and this book is put a lot of stuff. It starts with Partition. It doesn't spend a lot of time in Partition in India. If you don't know, Partition is when England pulled out of... That's a dog. I thought it was a person. England pulled out of India and then decided to divide it into Pakistan and India, and a lot of stuff happened because of that. So it starts with Partition and it ends with the whole situation around Indira Gandhi being assassinated, the Punjabi wanting its own state, wanting its own country, and the protests and riots around that, and then ultimately ends with the hijacking of Air Flight India 186, I believe it was called. That was coming from Canada to England, and it blew up over Ireland, the coast of Ireland. Yeah, and she like pits people in these situations, and like they're horrible situations, and it just, you know, she spends the whole time building up these stories and these people and getting you to fall in love with them, and like stabs you in the heart, and when you think you can't get enough, she like twists the fork. And then when you're really sad, this really heartwarming moment happens at the very end that, you know, something good is going to happen, and just like the feelings in that book are just wonderful. I highly recommend Can You Hear the Nightbird Call. It is such a beautiful book. Okay, number 8. What is a book you didn't even know how you felt about? And I think I generally have a good idea of how I feel about certain books, but there's a book that I read in February, Butter Honey Pig Bread, and when I think about it superficially, I enjoyed it. I liked it. But when I started thinking more about it, I was like, no, there's a lot of different things here that I don't like if I, you know, look at it. But it was still such a good book. But at the time, like, there was a lot of problems with it. It's not problematic, but there were problems that I wouldn't like in it. So it was a very, like, I don't know how to feel. Like, on the one hand, I want to like it, and on the other hand, but if I think more about it, I don't actually like it as much. It's still a great book, but, you know, it's not as good if I think about it. That makes sense. Number 9, are you more likely to read on a sunny day or cloudy day? To me, it honestly doesn't matter. I live in Canada, so like more than half the year, like 9 months out of the year, it's winter. And so we don't, you know, always have a lot of sun. And if I waited for only sunny days to read, then I wouldn't get a lot of reading done. And today, it's cloudy. Yesterday it was sunny. Sunny days just mean I'm more likely to read outside. That's the only difference. Number 10, do you usually set the mood when you read? Music, lights, smells? Sometimes, yeah. I like having ambience, so like just opening the door here and having the birds sing and the dogs howling, and, you know, we get a lot of planes, like, but not like commercial airlines, but like the smaller planes flying overhead, and just like, you know, the ambiance. And if it's too cold to have the window open, then I watch, I have a plasma TV, I think. I got it from a friend of a friend. So it gets burn-in, so I can't listen to normal ambience on YouTube because it's just a still image. So I usually put on like ambient documentaries, which is usually like nature, so yeah. And I don't really, as long as I have enough light to read, I do have this strip along the wall here that I'm looking at that has a remote, and you can change the different colors, and sometimes I put that on. But no smells, because books, paper, fire, no. No. Yeah. And lastly, can you leap from book to book, or do you need a buffer time between them? Yes, I read multiple books at a time, so like I could read 30 pages of one, set it down, and immediately pick up another one. So yeah, even finishing a book, I'll set it down and be like, oh, okay, and then pick up another one. I did more think about it, you know, when I take the time to think about it. Yeah. So that is the Moody Book Tag. I don't have anything else to say unless you want to do this tag, then do it. Don't wait for people to tag you. I didn't wait for someone to tag me in that tag. I just saw a few people doing it and thought, ah, looks like fun. Yes, so that's it. Thank you for watching. If you don't make videos, then give me some of your answers to the questions down below, and thank you for watching.